Before we kick off today, I just want to let you know that we have an exclusive newsletter that shares lots of information, tips and tricks about building your ideal business. If you want to find out more and jump on and subscribe to this, check out the show notes below and subscribe to our newsletter. Okay, today I'm going to talk a little bit about, I just might give you a bit of a backdrop. Because I've had failures in business before, this was one of those, insights that I got from that process of having failures. And the whole subject that I want to talk about today is when you look at currently how you're running your business and how the whole business is unfolding, do you look at it as trying to get to somewhere? Are you looking at trying to get to a destination? Is that the end game? I want to get the turnover to this, I want to make so much profit, I want to expand into these areas, really focusing on a destination, or as opposed to really thinking about the journey and what it's like. And why is that important? I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is important and how it can make a real difference to the way that you unfold your business and also potentially the success that you can have in your business. I remember probably when I had one of the businesses that I had, tough business, was a manufacturing business. And, it was always about, I remember back then, didn't really think too much about the journey. It was very much just, we're going to get into it, we're going to grow it, we're going to expand it. And was probably a bit younger at that stage and could really see the benefits of growing the business and benefiting financially from it, which is what motivates, a lot of business owners. That business was a really tough gig. We grew it from a standing start to, I think it was turning over just under 12 million across the group of businesses that we unfolded within 5 years. And we had over 100 staff across the different businesses. It was just chaos, and every day was chaos. And when it all went down for a whole bunch of reasons, the business didn't succeed. It was a tough place to be. I do remember reflecting back and going, what was that all about? What was it all about? Because the focus was very much on getting somewhere, on the destination. I didn't really have too much attention on the journey. And what I mean by that is, at that time, my daughters, I had two small daughters, never got to spend any time with them, was up early in the morning, off to work, back late, always thinking about business, had to work and do stuff over the weekends. So the whole journey thing really wasn't part of it. There was sort of a belief that if we got the other bits right and got to this destination, the journey would then become what it needed to become. And it doesn't really work like that from the insights that I had from that process. And so then I decided that after that sort of experience, some of the takeaways from that were, if I was going to go through the process and build another business, and when I sort of start and grow businesses, they tend to get fairly big. And so with ResiCert, my current business, as a national business, I wanted to make sure that the way the business was set up, was operating, was going to actually work for me and my family and for those around me as a journey rather than just a destination. And it's really, I found that to be a really important process, because what happens is, I've talked before about business being a long game. It's not a short game, it's a long game. You always hear about these overnight successes, but when you dig into it, you find that actually there wasn't overnight successes. Really, these are things that took place over many, many years for any business owner. If you want to play that long game and build a business that you can put in what it takes, you need to be getting nourished personally along the journey, if it makes sense. Because what makes getting somewhere more palatable and enables you to go further and put up with a lot more stuff is when the journey is enjoyable, when it's really working for you. If you think about your business as a long game, and sure, we all want to get somewhere, but the destination always changes. We wanted to go there, we wanted to do this, now we're changing it, and we're trying to do this. There's all that sort of stuff that happens continually in business. It's just the way it is. And so by sort of defining how you want the journey to look and thinking of it more as a journey rather than an end game destination, then you just approach things very differently. And it's a much more sustainable approach to building a business. And what I mean by sustainable, it means that you can just keep ticking along, keep moving forward with it, making the changes, because you're focusing on the journey. And the journey, it's a little bit different, because often when we focus on the destination, ideally what we want to do is draw a straight line and get from A to B as quickly as we can. That's the ideal. But if you go, well, actually, we could go to a location or a destination and say, look, that's the shortest, and we've probably all done this, that's the shortest way to do it. Let's just beeline and go straight for it. And then what happens is, you focus on getting to that destination as quickly as possible and as hard as you can. But often you get really disappointed when you get that destination. And what had happened was when you get there, you go, well, this wasn't what it was cracked up to be. It's actually not that great. And the journey itself, getting there, was really not that exciting. It wasn't that dull. You took maybe a major motorway or something. I'm talking about actually a physical journey. Where the other way to approach it is saying, well, okay, let's go there, but actually there's some really good things we can do along the way. We can go here, we can have a look at this, we can pick this up as we move around. And does it take a bit longer? Yeah, it might take a bit longer in the process. You might give up expediency for a little bit more, a more pleasant journey and a process, and being a bit more present in that activity. But then if you get to the end game, you go, well, it wasn't quite what I was looking for. It doesn't have the same impact because the journey was really worth it in itself. And so when you think about the process as a journey, moving forward, and in your business and all the things that take place, you sort of understand and acknowledge the fact that it's really part of the game. That's what it's all about. It's not just about getting to a particular point. Have you ever wanted to find out how ideal your business is? We put together a really cool tool that'll enable you to get your ideal business score. It's a fantastic tool. Check it out in the show notes and find out how ideal your business is. Back to the show. And the things that make the journey how you want it to roll out is that, and here's some indicators that you do have a journey focus on mind rather than just focusing on the destination. So some of the things to look for, firstly, is it supporting your personal life at the moment? And of course, it's never going to be ideal. That's something we're moving towards. That's the whole process of building your ideal business, is a moving towards your ideal scene, both personally and in your business. But is it supporting you doing that? So is your business supporting you doing that? So if it's doing that, then you probably have got a bit more of a focus on the journey. The other thing, I guess, is that we also acknowledge, and that's something that I think is very important, we're always learning, never static, have to keep learning and changing. And learning is part of a process, and it's part of the journey, picking up different things, getting better insights into it, not just saying, well, let's just get to that point at all costs. It isn't about the all costs and let's just go hard. It's actually about evolving both yourself personally and evolving your business. And that if you do that, then eventually the business and yourself will get to the point where you're the sort of person, and your business is the sort of business that will be a successful and thriving and expanding business, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a different approach. The third thing to look at when you're looking at journey versus destination, we set plans, we set goals. I want to achieve this, we want to do that. It might be an expansion idea, or more sales, or creating more money, or whatever it is. When you don't get there, it can be really disappointing and frustrating. And business tends to be like that a lot, where we set ourselves goals and we don't quite get there, reset it, and we do it again. It can be very frustrating, annoying. But if you sort of do that and you go, well, didn't quite get to where we're going, but when you look back on the journey, if you can actually look back and say, look, we didn't get there, it wasn't quite where we wanted to be, but we had a really great year. The whole process, we've strengthened the business in other areas. Personally, I've done this, I've managed to do this, the other stuff that's happened. Then that's probably an indicator that you do have some attention on journey as opposed to just the destination. So it's something that's really helped me personally. I had to go through a bit of pain and heartache to sort of get to that realization. And so whenever I get involved in anything now, whether it's looking at different businesses or different roles, what I might get involved in, I'm always sort of looking at, there's different businesses I'm always looking at, getting involved with different business. People approach me saying, do you want to come and have a bit of a look at this, all that sort of stuff. I sort of look at it and I go, okay, what's that journey going to be like? It's not going to be at an all-cost approach. Let's just drive hard and get to this point as quickly as we can. I'm not really an advocate of that. I sort of want to set it up and go, okay, we're going to head there. That's really cool. We have to accept the fact that when you look at a journey, things change. And it's exactly the same. I remember when I was traveling through the outback, spent 12 months, just over a year ago, traveling through the outback of Australia, all through the deserts. When I was doing that, I wasn't too focused. Actually, I didn't really have a destination at all. There were certain things that I wanted to get to, but it was pretty flexible as to how that took place. And so when you look at journey stuff, you just go, well, let's just go. You're going with the flow a bit more, sort of just going with what's working. Oh, look, that's not working. I might tweak and adjust that, spend a bit more time over here. This is a really cool spot, so let's spend more time here. You might run into someone, and this is actually really interesting. And this happens a lot when you're traveling, and I know I really look for this when I'm moving around and traveling. At the moment, I'm in Ho Chi Minh, and what I find, and this happened here, happens all over the place. I ran into someone the other day and I was telling me about this place called Black Mountain, which isn't far from here. And I said, you should really go and check it out. And so then I went, oh, that's really interesting, So having the ability, because I'm not just focused on the destination, but the journey of what I can get out of, I said, oh, I might do that. And that sometimes some of the best experiences that we have been allowing those things to enter and having some flexibility on that. And so and it's the same in your business, because you might be ticking along doing things and you're really fixed on going down here and doing this, and this is what you're going to do and this is how it's going to work. But then actually something pops up, you might see something or a change, and they might go, well, that's actually, we could really use that. That could work really well for us. It could improve some things. And so you're looking at how you can improve that whole flow. So it's a little bit more openness to change the way as to how you get there. Not being so rigid on that, because as you know, you can get to a particular point a number of different ways. And what's the best way to get there? Well, it's the way that, I guess it's the way that supports what it is that you want to achieve in your own personal life and is going to make it sustainable and a long-term game for you, rather than just getting there as quickly as you can. Because we see it really often, when business owners focus purely on destination, push hard, disappointed, frustrated, I haven't got there yet. And what impacts on that is, because the journey is not being considered, there might be impacts on relationships with your partner, with your kids. Your health might be suffering. You're not physically doing what you like. You're not getting as much joy in your life. And the excuses that we make are, well, that's okay, that's fine, because when I get there, it'll all be fine. When I get there, it'll all be fine. And the reality is, more often than not, that's not the case. We've sort of lost sight of the reason we wanted to get there. And the reason we want to get there is because of the journey that we want to have going forward from that point. So I think it's a really good idea to think for yourself when you're looking at your business and how you're operating in your business. Are you constantly thinking about getting somewhere, or are you really conscious of making sure that the journey really works for you, works for your team, works for all those around you, and for those involved in your business? It's a very different philosophy, and I find that it gives you the ability just to play the longer game and not get stressed out around a lot of things that you would do when you're just putting attention on journey. That's a bit of an insight that I had. I wanted to really share that with you. It's really helped me in the way I approach business and the way that I run my businesses. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch up with you in the next Ideal Business podcast. Ciao for now. Thanks for listening. As you know, we grow organically. It's really people like yourself that enable us to get the word out. If you like what you hear, please give us a rating, leave a good comment, and share this with your friends. Thank you.